So, my Fallout final review. Believe it or not, I really intended to do this video a few days ago. And I first sat down and I went, I think I need to record every single plot hole I can remember off the top of my head without writing an outline or a script or even rewatching the series. I just went, how many plot holes and stupid plot beats and inexplicable retardation can I remember off the show off the top of my head? That video was 70 minutes long. And I was frustrated with it because I went, who would watch this? Because it's literally just plot beat, plot beat, plot beat, plot beat. And it took me about 25 minutes to get done with the first episode out of 8 episodes. That's how many inexplicable what the fuck is going on here moments. Like I talked about how the raider bitch who kidnaps the overseer and starts off the plot for the Lucy character at the start of the show actually isn't a raider, actually isn't a criminal. She's actually a pre-war, cryogenically frozen genius woman who is the de facto governor of the remnants of the NCR, which is actually in this show, although you wouldn't be able to tell from the trailer of the first several episodes, even though it's set in fucking California. That she, yeah, and not only that, the reason why she's important to the plot is because she's actually from before the war, and she is the inventor of cold fusion. And people say this show isn't woke, when the black lesbian character, whose entire motivation for kidnapping the overseer is to get revenge because she was in Lesbians with Lucy's mom, who was actually not a vault dweller, but somebody from outside the wasteland, and Lucy's dad is actually also a pre-war guy from Vault Tech, who came from Vault 31, and then I was like remembering the entire fucking plot of Lucy's brother who's still in the vault and how we continue to have all this stupid, retarded, unfunny comic relief in the vaults and shit, right? And the big mystery is, well, if people are supposed to be intermarrying between these 3 interlocked vaults, right? And everyone from Vault 31 is some sort of conspiracy guy, and everyone in Vault 32, you find out about halfway through the series, is fucking dead. Like, how did, when Lucy's brother and Lucy's friend or slash cousin, when they discovered that Vault 32 was actually, everybody there was murdered and had been fucking decrepit in just like a fucking coffin, a tomb for 2 years, where did the raiders come from? And who cleaned up the vault when 2 days later, the vault overseer of Vault 33, Lucy's vault, goes, actually, we're going to split the survivors of, like, you know how half of us were killed in a raider attack? We're actually going to split us into half again. And you guys are going to go repopulate Vault 32 because we found out Vault 32, everybody was dead, right? Or something. And then the next day they go there and the entire vault's been cleaned. All the corpses are gone. All the blood spatter and shit's been painted off the walls. All the corpses that look like they either murdered each other or killed themselves are gone, and everything's fixed. All the lights work and shit. All the crops have been regrown. All in 24 hours, and you think, well, surely the conspirators who have done this, who have hidden this crime, and did the whole gaslighting thing to Lucy's brother, surely they're all from Vault 31. Vault 31 must be full of bad guys. Vault 31 has nobody in it. It has literally nobody in it. Everybody in Vault 31 is cryogenically frozen, awaiting their turn to be awakened to be one of the managers of Vault 33 and Vault 32, because the entire thing of that vault is Vault Tech managers are unfrozen, introduced as residents of Vault 31 and married into the other vaults. But they're all still frozen, and there are no human operators there. There's just this one asshole who's, as a comedy relief guy, is a robo-brain, but he's a robo-brain on a little remote-controlled car, and nobody actually is in that vault. So who the fuck cleaned up Vault 32? Nobody! It's a plot hole. There's a lot of those in this fucking pile of shit, okay? You know, all I go over, like, every time, like, okay, you know, why did the NCR bitch slash raider leader slash leader of the Gunners, because apparently the NCR, what's left of it, because it was one city, but it got nuked by Lucy's dad, because Lucy's dad was mad at Lucy's mom for leaving the vault and being in lesbians with the black woman who invented cold fusion and also survived the Great War, and also as the governor of the NCR, and also is worshipped as a god by some other vaults for some reason that's never explained. Just as an excuse to have a bunch of ugly people get their tits out and dicks out. This chick who is, again, I'm going to list this off again, a leader of Raiders, the governor of the remnant of the NCR, a pre-war scientist who invented cold fusion, who is in lesbians with the dead slash ghoulified mother of the main character. I've been told this is well written, by the way. Where was I even going with this? Yeah, she is worshipped as a god by other vault residents who are actually the survivors of the NCR, but all of them are mutated, and it's unclear whether they are surviving down there because they are mutants and want to live in peace and harmony, or if they're being experimented on and caused to be mutants. But they worship this chick as a god. Like, who wrote this? Did any of you... I literally tried my fucking best to shut my brain off while I'm watching this and just accepting that there's a J.J. Abrams type mystery box and that some of those mystery boxes may be opened and the contents may be revealed in season 1 and it may start to make sense, and a little bit of the vault shit, I guess, made sense. And the whole, oh, my big twist, and time is the great weapon in management, and oh, that's a good twist, that's good writing. I see dead people, all that shit, right? Do any of you people who defend this show listen to yourselves at all? Has anybody ever asked you how you explain literally anything that happens? Okay, Walton Goggins wants to get a MacGuffin to give to Raider bitch slash NCR governor slash inventor of cold fusion slash witch god of the vaults. And his motivation is never clear. He just is doing it either for caps or something, but it's actually, he's somewhat aware halfway through the show that Lucy is related to a guy who he knew prior to the war who fucked him over. And so his motivation is not actually that he is a soulless bounty hunter who's lost his humanity as, due to hundreds of years of being an irradiated ghoul and being mistreated and living in a Mad Max land. Actually, his motivation since like the second he learns Lucy's name is to also find Lucy's dad so he can demand to know where the rest of his family is, even though it's pretty clear that his daughter has to be dead because she wasn't in a vault and her mom wasn't maybe in a vault and maybe not. You don't know. It's never really resolved, at least not in season 1. But he's asking, where is my family? And then everybody lets Lucy's dad escape. Like all 3 main characters all turn their backs or not in the room so that he can steal Maximus's power armor and just leave, all because they're trying to have a moment and deliberately turning their back. And you can tell as just a viewer with 2 brain cells rubbed together that the fact that they have removed that guy from the frame of what's going on as Lucy and Maximus pretend he's not there and have this completely fake chemistry that's not going on, because it's written that they're romantically together, and even though they have like somewhat of a Rose, Tico, and Finn, hey, we're co-adventurers thing, there's no sexual tension or romantic vibe between them whatsoever, but they have to kiss because one's a black guy and one's a white woman, and this show's not woke, by the way. Yeah. Sure, it's not. Sure, Jan. Sure, this show isn't woke. Okay, yeah. So they let him run off with that suit, and I'm just watching it moment by moment like this. I don't even have to tell him in order. What about like when Howard, the ghoul, and I remember very clearly my friend saying, you find out that guy's name, Cooper Howard's last name is Howard, and he's like, if his first name is Todd, I will scream. Yeah, was what he said, and I laughed so hard. He's trying to get this MacGuffin, which turns out to be the cold fusion cell that the Enclave guy had for some reason that's never explained. And even though everybody in the entire wasteland is after this guy, Raider bitch is after this guy, a bunch of bounty hunters are after this guy, Lucy's after this guy, the entire Brotherhood of Steel is after this guy, is the Enclave after this escaped Enclave scientist? No. No, they never feature outside of the first 5 minutes of episode 1. This is a well-written show. Yeah, like when that guy's severed head, because I guess they couldn't afford to have, what, his name's not Richard Chapman, it's something Chapman. He's a really good actor. Most people know him from Saw or Person of Interest or some other pretty decent films. Yeah, like I guess they could only get him for one day of shooting, so they cut off his head, and his fucking severed head becomes the MacGuffin for the plot. Yeah, that gets swallowed by a monster, and Cooper Howard, the ghoul, chooses to try to defeat this monster with a harpoon instead of using the lever action shotgun he has on his back or his Gary Stu quad barreled explosive shell rocket launcher fucking one-handed Mad Max shotgun that he has. No, they just let that happen, and then they let his anti-feral ghoul drugs that are, it's another thing that just made up for the show, get broken, so that for 3 episodes of the plot, he's not advancing the plot, and he's kidnapping Lucy away from the plot. And the plot, which is the MacGuffin, is set on hold because it's in the belly of a monster that just sits in a lake and is later discovered by Maximus instead, so he can start carrying the plot. And those 2 characters go on a wacky adventure of grueling, ugly wasteland shit, just so he can get more drugs, and only gets more drugs because Lucy saves him, and not because he takes any proactive hand in the plot of the episode. And that every single episode and every single scene is like this. And these are at least plot beats, because out of every 60-minute episode, there's at least 10 minutes that are devoted to gags, like Maximus pretending to be Titus. And keep in mind, he's pretending to be Titus because instead of saying, because he basically murders his knight, Titus, and steals his armor and pretends to be Knight Titus. First of all, he could have had a more positive relationship with Titus because he basically lets him die from getting attacked by a monster, because Titus is an asshole. Only Maximus is also an asshole, so like whatever. And lets him die and then steals his armor. And like when he gets back in contact with the Brotherhood of Steel, all he has to say is, "I have eyes on the target. Knight Titus has fallen honorably in battle. I have recovered his armor and am continuing the mission. Send backup." He instead pretends to be Titus and then destroys his communicator and flees the Brotherhood of Steel for like multiple episodes. And then when he gets sent a new squire, he continues to impersonate Titus, and then loses his armor when he reveals himself to his squire that he's not Titus. And then obviously him acting like a traitor means his squire deactivates his armor, traps him, and then flees with the MacGuffin. And I'm like, this is literally every plot beat. Every plot beat is not only written stupid, but can only occur because the characters are stupid. The entire fucking show is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. Now, is it the worst fucking thing I've ever seen? No. The production value is fantastic. The action looks pretty fucking good. Most of the effects are pretty good. The Alguai that kills Knight Titus looks like shit. The rat roaches look good. The shit they do with the dog looks good. The armor looks mostly pretty good, even though it doesn't do the shit it does in games. It does completely different things, and it either makes you completely invulnerable or you die in one hit to the Gary Stu, Walton Goggins' ghoul character, when he kills 12 Brotherhood of Steel guys with 1 bullet each in the dark in all of these knights, which have mounted headlamps on their helmets, never turn them on. In fact, there's multiple times where a character either has a Pip-Boy with a light or a power armor with a light, and they don't use it, so the plot can happen or the scene can happen, which is I'm in the dark and I don't know what's out there. Like even when the Alguai kills Titus, it's like, have you guys both have flashlights? Use them ever? You're just gonna stand there and wonder what the fuck's making that noise in the dark because you're a fucking moron. And Walton Goggins is not the only character that lets the plot happen by forgetting he has a gun. Keep in mind that when Maximus, wearing Knight Titus's armor, fights Goggins the first time, or Cooper Howard, the ghoul, he forgets he has 2 guns. He has a large assault machine gun and a laser pistol. And he uses none of them so he can fist fight the ghoul. And since the ghoul isn't just like a dude who doesn't, die because he can't age and because he can regenerate through radiation, they decide that, unlike in the games, ghouls are Wolverine and immediately recover from any wounds they suffer ever, including just being shot dozens of times or have a crossbow go through your fucking face or your neck, or you get gutted or something. It doesn't matter. He's invincible. He's Wolverine. True to the games. I've been told by fans of the show that it's true to the games. Which games? It's not true to New Vegas or Fallout 1 and 2. All of those are set in California or nearby in the Nevada desert. It erases every single faction from those areas, from those games, from the plot, except for the Brotherhood of Steel, and renders the Brotherhood of Steel into a bunch of fucking retards. Enclave basically doesn't exist. The NCR basically doesn't exist. The Super Mutants and the Master don't exist. The Legion doesn't exist. Basically nothing that's going on in this area exists. And not only that, but every last prop, every last weapon, every last piece of armor, every last piece of the aesthetic, the entire look of the vaults is all ripped directly from Fallout 4, which, while, being the most recent mainline game, is also set in fucking Boston. And it rips monsters directly from that, which is in fucking Boston. So there is a desert-like salamander creature, I guess, even though, like, where do you see gulpers? In Boston. What's out here? Maybe mud crabs would be in the lake. You got Yao Guai, yeah, they're out there. And death claws, they're hinted at, not in it. The FEV virus, mutants, none of that applies. And you do see fiends, but they're described as being fiends because they're cannibals or drug addicts. But, separately, they're described in two different ways, even though fiends are not expressly cannibals in any of the Fallout games. They just do lots of drugs and rob people to survive. They're, very much like the Raiders and shit from Mad Max, because all of Fallout is a ripoff of Mad Max. So homages to Mad Max, fan bonus points, sure, but they don't help your plot if they're in no way make your plot move or have anything to do with your plot or help your characters look smart or intelligent or interesting or provide some kind of mystery. The great big twist is complete fucking bullshit and is utterly baffling, and nobody cares because there's the great big crazy shootout between the remnants of the NCR who are dressed up like the Gunners, who are a paramilitary evil force in Fallout 4 in Boston. But they do actually show NCR characters in Desert Ranger armor, which is native to the region, but they're shown to be peasants who are farmers who Walton Goggins kills in a scene that is a direct ripoff of a little bit Unforgiven and a little bit Shane. If you know your Westerns, you know what I'm talking about. And he shoots two of them just to show that he's Billy Badass and an anti-hero / gray villain or whatever. And see, here's 18 minutes. And I've just been listing off plot beats over and over and over again, none of which make any sense, none of which are true to the games, none of which are well written, none of which are funny. About the only upside of the show is the production value. The casting's okay. Ella Purnell as Lucy did an okay job. The plot requires literally nothing of her other to be kind of Reddit quirky, charming, going okie dokie, and she's like a cross between like Tiny Tina and some other girl boss character. Thankfully, she doesn't do a lot of girl bossing in practice. Most of the time, she has nothing to do with the plot because she's at the mercy of other characters. So what a feminist would call being fridged. So based, I guess, but she's still not interesting or funny and only slightly charming and not written like anything other than a fucking naive idiot. We got Maximus. He is a very poor representation of the culture of the Brotherhood of Steel. The rest of the Brotherhood of Steel is represented as a cult of fucking morons with no strategic intelligence or clear goals other than to keep tech away from the rest of humanity, because the rest of humanity are retards, which noble goal in this setting because literally everybody in the setting is retards, unfortunately, including the Brother of Steel. And just on it goes. And he betrays them like 4 separate times, and they neither kill him or expel him or nothing. They just keep congratulating him, and at the end, he gets hailed as a hero because he does get the MacGuffin. The guy who gets the MacGuffin at the end is Maximus. He wins the story, I guess, technically. But he loses Lucy because Lucy leaves with the evil Gary Stu, complete fucking self-insert goofball fucking badass, ghoul cowboy. And it's just like, this is the lowest form of schlock. Like, you realize I've just been randomly just picking parts and going, this doesn't work, this is dumb, this is stupid, this is insulting, this is childish, this is poorly written, this makes no fucking sense. And I could do that about every single episode. If I wanted to, I could do between 25 minutes to an hour dissecting every single episode individually in a series. But I'm not going to do that because the show isn't worth my time. The reason why everybody is swearing to you that the show is good is because Fallout, for all its thousands of flaws, just unbelievably, just complete dog shit that it is, the entire industry of sci-fi, of action film, just about like everything other than like tearjerker dramas about gay cowboys having sex in the mountains, all of this shit has been done very, very poorly. Okay, what do you have to look forward to except for like the 30th Fast and the Furious / spinoff of the Fast and Furious movie? You've got Zack Snyder continuing to try to say, "Oh, look, I can do sci-fi," and every last one of his movies sucks. How many times have you seen like Jupiter Ascending, John Carter, fucking all these fucking plots, Rebel Moon, whatever the fuck, anything literally Disney Star Wars has put out, literally anything Disney, Pixar has put out, every single thing that is your dumb, shut your brain off entertainment has been dog shit for the better part of 30 fucking years. Almost nothing has come out since like the first Matrix movie in 1999 that is any good in this kind of genre at all. Nothing. You have nothing to look forward to. And the sad thing is the shit that has come out since like The Matrix that is good sci-fi or good sci-fi horror or good horror comedy or sci-fi comedy, any of that shit, none of y'all went to see it. None of you went to see shit like Pandorium, shit like Event Horizon bombed at the box office. And everybody remembers them fondly. And, back in the day, at least, a bomb like Event Horizon eventually does make its budget back on the home market. But the thing is, there is no home market anymore. It's all streaming, and streaming's all completely fucking mismanaged garbage. There's a reason why Fallout, everyone's like, oh, Prime's back, baby. The only good thing Prime's put out in fucking 6 years is like fucking Reacher, and it's only okay. It's good-ish. It's entertaining, even though it's dumb. But, I guess nobody was really expecting anything out of Fallout. And like me, when I initially said, hey, 5 out of 10, to me, I thought I was being generous, saying it's mediocre instead of saying it's really fucking bad. Because it wasn't offensive. But the thing is, the more I engaged with the show and thought about it and made videos about it and then engaged with the audience of the show, which is a bunch of mouth-breathing, fucking lying, fucking idiot, fucking morons. You were all as stupid as the characters in this show, and you were all as fucking absolutely mouth-breathing fucking retarded as the writer who wrote it. Okay? Every time you said, and then, like, look, I literally had, like, this long-ass argument with people in the comments where I'm saying, like, no, your opinion's wrong. And it's like, when I said, they said the show's good, I'm like, no, it's not. And it's like, that's just your opinion, man. I'm like, here's why the show is bad. It's everything I said about the show in my initial review, everything I said about my show in my letter to the audience, and everything I said about the show now. And those are a fraction of the problems with this show. I could describe like framing issues. I could describe like I could get down like white man video essay and explain how it's not clear what direction any character's heading or how they keep crossing paths. And eventually they got it like, oh, they're tracking each other. And then, nobody does anything about being tracked or not tracked. And it's like, I could dissect this from like any angle, but I'm just going over plot beats and showing how it's stupid. I'm going over performances and saying like, here's what I would do if I was Maxis. I wouldn't kill Titus, or if I did kill Titus, I wouldn't impersonate Titus. And if I did impersonate Titus, I wouldn't tell people I was impersonating Titus. And if I was going to betray the Brotherhood of Steel, I would betray them instead of going back to them and submitting myself to my fate, which should have been imprisonment, banishment, torture, or being killed. And it was none of the above because they're stupid. Okay? Like, if I was Ella Purnell, I'd be a lot less trusting, and I'd be scared shitless, and I'd be more sneaky, and I'd be trying to use my brain, because her character's not actually one of the least stupid. But she's naive, because she keeps wanting to be nice to people and repeatedly punished for being nice, and then refuses to learn that lesson. And even, like, every character's flat out telling her, like, it's not in subtext at all. Characters are saying, you're an idiot vault dweller. You will not survive up here. This is the land of wolves, and you are not a wolf. You know, like that line from Sicario, like, you're doomed. Wise up, smarten up, stop being a mark. And she is a mark over and over and over again. Her entire fucking arc is being a mark until at the last minute she decides to stop being a mark and start sticking up for herself. And then at the end of all that, she wants to marry this idiot fucking traitor guy because she's never had a positive relationship with a man in her entire life. And ain't that an allegory for fucking women in modern day? It's a fucking metaphor. No, this just shows fucking retarded, okay? And it's objectively retarded. And you know why I can tell it's subjectively retarded? Because I can give all these reasons why it's bad. And the only thing you can do to say it's good is to lie. To say it's well written. No, it's not. It's objectively not well written. It's well acted. That one's debatable. Okay, they're bit characters like the shop owner slash courier bounty hunter fucking facilitator, whatever the fuck bitch from the raider town in the first episode. Well acted. I forget the name of the actor who's the elder of the Brotherhood of Steel. He's a good actor, but his dialogue's retarded. So he's a retarded character who does retarded things to self-sabotage because he's an idiot. And if he had any brains, he would have taken control of the situation well before the last episode and sent overwhelming force at the problem. But if he sent overwhelming resources at the problem to get the MacGuffin, the plot wouldn't happen. You realize that the plot can only happen if every character is a fucking idiot and doesn't do what is logical. That does not act in they have to not act in their best interest and to do things that should get them killed for the plot to happen. And there's no viable reason for anybody to do almost any of the things they do in the entire fucking plot. And you half the fucking J.J. Abrams fucking mystery box is wondering why characters are doing what they're doing. That was about the only thing that was keeping me watching. Why is Maximus acting like this? Surely there's something in his past that is describing why he's a fucking tool. Why is Walton Goggins, the ghoul, acting like this? Surely there has to be something in his backstory between when we saw the bombs drop and the opening stinger to now that explains why he's such a fucking bastard. Surely there's some explanation for why Ella Purnell, fucking Lucy's even here, because somebody kidnapped her dad, and there has to be some reason why they killed half the vault, didn't kill the other half of the vault, only took one guy, and tried to blow up not the entrance / exit to Vault 33, but the barrier between Vault 33 and 32 and 31. So the connecting between these vaults that are connected in a triangle, they blew that and then escaped through that vault door instead of the vault door to the vault that they are attacking. Why? Why? So the plot can happen. So there can be a mystery that Lucy's brother has to solve about what the fuck's going on with the other vaults. And his entire plot would be meaningless and superfluous and wouldn't need to exist. There would be no reason for his character to be in the show at all or to even be in the fucking script unless the Raiders did that. And why were they Raiders when the bitch leading them is, again, the witch god of the wastes / the governor of NCR / the leader of the gunners / pre-war scientist inventor of cold fuck fusion # not woke black lesbian. 30 minutes is long enough. And you know what? If enough of you fucking embarrassments, you absolute clown shoes fucking jokers come in here and continue to try to argue with me that this show makes any sense and is any way other than mediocre, because I at least was able to shut my brain off and pretend to be a fucking retard like Simple Jack from Tropic Thunder, just explosion power. You know what? I went as retard level as possible to engage with the show, and my retard level framing with the lowest possible expectations. The lowest possible expectations, okay? 5.5, 6 out of 10. And almost all of that is purely in the stuff that's not that important. The special effects, the costumes, you know, I mean, I could, I didn't even really complain all that much about all the shit that was incongruous with the games. Everyone's like, it's true to the games. I'm like, tell me you didn't play the games without telling me you didn't play the games. If you say it's true to the games, that is a lie. There is not any part of the Fallout show that is true to any of the games except the sets. The set design looks like one of the games that's set in Boston, not LA. Yeah, sure, okay. It's true to the look, even though some of that's also not true. But, you know, fucking at least somebody tried in the production. Somebody tried with the plot. Not the plot, the props, P-R-O-P, props. Somebody tried with the props. Somebody tried with the visual effects. Somebody tried with the overall look. Somebody, yeah, I mean, they could have done a better job of making characters look dirty and grungy and gritty, which is part of the fun of the game. And they're like, no, everybody has perfect hair all the fucking time. Everybody has perfect makeup all the fucking time. Everybody's always clean all the fucking time, which is, it's the little things like that that matter. In Mad Max, it looks real because, first of all, it's not all on green screen like most of this show is. It's good green screen. It's probably some of the better green screen that I've ever seen, but it's a green screen show. Most of those locations, not none of them, most of those locations are not real. Okay, almost all of that is green screen. You know, they shot Mad Max out in the fucking brutally hot, ugly ass fucking desert. That's why nobody has great hair. That's why everybody's dirty and sweaty, and nobody looks like they just walked out of a trailer in the makeup fucking chair, is because it was real. And most of those stunts looked fucking amazing is because most of those stunts were fucking real, and people were getting very seriously injured, and a lot of those stuntmen were getting paid with beer and weed instead of money. That's why Mad Max rules and why this show fucking drools. And there, without Mad Max, there would be no Fallout. So no lessons were learned here. Again, tell me what makes the show good. You can't do it. The only thing, because first of all, you're saying, it's just your opinion, man, and nobody's opinion's worth more than others. Well, guess what? I can defend my opinion. I can explain my opinion. I can show you and demonstrate to you why this show is not very good and why a score of 5.5 or 6 out of 10 is extremely fucking generous. It really is. It's not an 8. It's not a 9. It's not a 10. It's not a 7. Okay? Saying it's 7 means it's as good as 50% of all the shit I've ever watched that I like. It is not true. In fact, if I asked you, is Fallout as good as 50% of all your favorite shows? Can you rank all your favorite shows and then say Fallout is right there in the middle of your list of good shows? In between the best and the guilty pleasures. Is it that good to you? No, you're lying not just to me. You're lying to you. You don't even know how to rate things. You don't even know how much you actually like things. You just accept slop. You just consume. Don't ask questions. Just consume product and get excited for next product. And you wonder why nothing gets better. Because you allowed yourself to be so abused and so demoralized as a consumer that when you're handed something that isn't rancid and venomous or poisonous, toxic, whatever the right word is for it, right? As long as you're not being handed a kick in the fucking balls, as long as it isn't digging its thumb into your fucking eyeball, you're like, yeah, it's pretty good. No, it's not. It's bad, but it's... everything around it is so bad. It's like the fucking plain girl who surrounds herself with ugly fat women so she looks beautiful. By comparison, The only thing that you could possibly describe the show as good is because you're 20 years old and throughout the entirety of your lifespan, nothing good has ever been on fucking television except for 2 or 3 shows. So your frame of reference is heavily skewed towards dog shit. Go watch some good shit, okay? Go get on Netflix, and presumably some of you have got on Netflix or Prime or fucking Hulu or something, or Disney Plus. Go watch something from the 90s that's actually good, okay? Go watch shit like from the early 2000s. Go watch shit like Event Horizon. Go watch some good sci-fi. Go watch Pandorum if you want horror. If you want fucking comedy, go watch all those like the At World's End and Shaun of the Dead and fucking Hot Fuzz. That's good dystopian comedy. Like, I can take everything you claim this show is and say, this show is not that, but this is what you say this show is. And there's an incongruity here. But it's just my opinion, man. Everything is subjective. At the end of the day, everything's actually good, because as long as somebody on Earth likes it, you can't say it's shit. And guess what? If you say it's shit, it's an appeal to authority fallacy, or just like, fucking You want to know why everything's shit? You know what I should have said in my letter to the audience video that is true, that you won't accept, and I really should have said it? The only reason why we've accepted everything as subjective is so that nobody has to meet a standard. Nobody has to try to raise the bar. Everybody seems to be able to agree when a seminal work comes along that changes the way everything is done. Whether it's a Citizen Kane, or a Gone with the Wind, or a Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or a fucking Star Wars, or a Harry Potter. Nobody questions things when everybody agrees, okay? But there's also an appeal to majority fallacy there, because why are those things good? Is it just because everybody agreed that they were? No, I can sit down and break down why Citizen Kane is good, because I've seen it. I can break down why the original Star Wars trilogy is superior to anything that's came after it in terms of that kind of genre, especially within its own fucking franchise, because I can explain what it did and what it gave to the audience and what everything after it failed to do. I can categorize, itemize, and quantify every fucking bit of my reasoning, and you can't. All you can say is, it didn't piss me off, it must be good. It didn't piss me off that bad either. I've seen much worse. I'm right there with you. I'm desensitized, you fucking idiot. But go ahead and explain to me why it's good. Go ahead and describe to me why characters make sense, why the grand plot is ingenious, okay, why the twist was a good swerve and shocking. Explain to me why this is good. You can't. It was just, it looks like the game, I love the game, it's more the game. And maybe it doesn't bother me so much when the fucking Mario Brothers movie comes out and it's fucking schlock, but it's neither mean-spirited or overly insulting, and it's not a politically motivated fucking screed. And Mario is not the Citizen Kane of video games. Mario Jump on Turtle. There's nothing much there. It doesn't have to be anything. But Fallout is a series with a rich amount of lore, and fans that I thought would be upset at its lore being shit on here. It has a rich amount of the way things work. It's such a well-established universe, and you'd think the nerds would be coming out of the woodwork saying why would the bar on the fucking Enterprise be on deck 12? It's called 10 forward to be on deck 10. Nobody's here. Nobody's here criticizing this for making a mockery of it. In fact, I'm not here to do that because I don't even really give a shit. I'm a big fan of the games, but I've never really gave that much of a shit about the games from that angle to even criticize the show. I just want the show's characters to make sense. I want the plot to make sense. I want it to be well directed, well acted, and well written, and it's none of the above. Explain to me why I'm wrong. They don't have to, man. It's subjective. No, it's not. And the reason why you keep getting shit on, this is what I was going to say, the reason why you keep getting shit on is because you won't accept that art is not subjective. Art has a point. And film has a time-honored fucking construction thing. And the reason why a lot of films come out and try to break the mold, maybe 1 in 100 that do something nobody's ever seen before, are regarded well. For every Pulp Fiction, there's a bunch of like, what the fuck were you trying to do here, you fucking auteur idiot? Like Nostalgia Critic making fun of that movie The Cell with Jennifer Lopez and Vince Vaughn, and it has all those weird interpretive dream sequences that don't really say anything. They're just weird visual landscapes, and you see the Nostalgia Critic running around going, ask me what it means, ask me what it means, it actually means something. No. Challenging the form usually doesn't work because there is a form. There is a template. There is a right and a wrong way to do things. And I can explain it to you. Many people can explain it to you. And I can explain how Fallout, the TV show, has violated every fucking form it should, or even tried, and obviously tried, to fit into, because it's an inept pile of shit. And it's only by virtue of some things that I'm being very generous about that I would score it more like a 6 instead of a 3, because it's not good. It's objectively not good. And you cannot argue that. You can't go episode by episode, plot beat by plot beat, character by dialogue line, and show me how this show makes sense. You know you can't. And you're just going to lie to yourself and say, oh, you're an opinionated asshole, and if I sat down here and tried, you wouldn't read my comments. Most of you fuckers, you fanboys of the show, were furious at me that I responded to almost all of your comments and argued almost all of your points. And you're like, oh, you're mad. You're salty because you're responding to me, because you're engaging with the audience. Are you sure? Most of you guys like it when people answer you and you can have an argument. I like it. That's why I have a channel, so I can argue with you about shit. I get a kick out of it. I enjoy doing it. I don't make money. I don't monetize. I don't market. I don't fucking network. I'm just here. It's just a hobby. There's nothing you can impeach me on. Nothing. And instead you're like, oh, you're coping and seething in the comments. No. My goal in making these videos is to explain to you why you're fucking wrong. And here you are saying, no, I'm not wrong. And I'm like, here's some added fucking data explaining how you're a fucking joke. That's what I get out of this. Is that coping and seething? Is the only way to win to not talk about this show? Is the only way to win is just to agree with you and slap my fucking chest and start drooling and fucking going cross-eyed and going fucking, no, I love it too, because it looks just like the game Fallout 4 that I played. And you wonder why everything is shit. You know why everything is shit? Because you eat shit. And you do it with a smile, and then you ask for more. That's why everything's shit. You don't even know. You will go to fucking Star Wars The Last Jedi and say that was shit, and go to Halo Paramount Plus and say that was shit, and then you watch this and you get the exact same thing that offended you twice, and you go, no, this one was good. Why? It's the fucking same problem. It was just executed slightly less like a complete fucking disaster, but it's still a disaster. It's still bad. You can't explain to me fundamental differences here other than, oh, the girl boss actually had to learn a lesson. Oh, the girl boss actually got overpowered by the Gary Stew, demonstrating what I understand about the differences between the sexes, and therefore it wasn't, sticking its dick in my face. Therefore it's good. That's good enough for you? That's your standard now? That's how low you've sunk? And I'm wrong because I find that disappointing, that I despair of your standards, and I know that I'll never get what I want, and not only that, you'll never get what you want because you keep eating shit and telling me it's filet mignon. And telling yourself it's a good steak. It's not, it's shit. Get a grip.